Tonight, a local police officer is under criminal investigation accused of throwing a man in jail on bogus charges after beating him up.
Face first, I hit the concrete, boom, I fall. My head I feel blood running down my face.
We uncovered an internal memo that shows police knew the officer was a risk. Good evening, I'm John Bachman.
I'm Jovita Moore. Monica Pearson and Justin Farmer are off this evening. The district attorney has dropped all the charges against the man who was jailed. Channel 2 Action News has learned that Officer T.J. Crumpton is now under criminal investigation. All new at 6, investigative reporter Jody Fleischer is here now with the warning signs she found in the officer's file. Jody?
Jovita, Brian Peterson told me the way the DeKalb Police Department handled this investigation was almost as bad as the beating itself. The officer only got a 10-hour suspension for something that may turn out to be criminal. We dug into his disciplinary records and found a ranking officer tried to fire him a year before this happened.
I was like, I'll see y'all later, and then the officer turned around and looked at me like, don't you see me talking, step off.
Brian Peterson says he was just trying to say goodnight to a group of women on his way out of Dugan's Sports Bar when Officer T.J. Crumpton, who was working off-duty security, followed him outside.
I was like, really? I said, are you going to lock me up for saying goodbye? He said, I can lock you up for if I want to.
He says Crumpton handcuffed him, then knocked his feet out from under him.
I hit the concrete. I feel blood running down my face. Once we get to the patrol car, he throws me into a full speed, and then he throws me on the ground.
Brian spent 5 days in jail for charges including interference with government property, a felony for the damage to that patrol car. He lost his job and had to explain it to his family.
It was embarrassing. At the most, it was very hard.
Even harder when Internal Affairs waited 3 months to begin investigating. The 2 officers Crumpton had called in for backup didn't back up his story, and Crumpton's lie detector test showed deception. He was found to have used unnecessary force and profanity and got a 10-hour suspension.
They know that Brian did not do this from every witness they spoke to except Officer Crumpton.
Brian's attorney says police should have called prosecutors immediately, but the charges weren't dropped until November when he reported Crumpton.
There's absolutely no excuse for that man to have been remaining at the department. None.
In fact, this internal memo recommended terminating Crumpton more than a year earlier, calling him a liability to himself and the department. Crumpton's disciplinary history shows nearly 200 hours of suspensions for more than a dozen incidents.
The DeKalb County taxpayers are still paying this cop's salary.
No question. By a person who, in my opinion, has committed felonies.
Let the punishment fit the crime. Your job is to serve and protect. It's not to beat up and handcuff and lie.
The DeKalb police chief declined our request for an interview about how his department handled this situation. Officer Crumpton also said he could not discuss it and referred us to his attorney, who did not return calls. He's now on restricted duty pending the outcome of the criminal investigation. Jovita?
Jody, thank you. We have more details on Crumpton's past. In 2009, his supervisor described his actions as beyond aggressive to being reckless. He freed a suspect to hide the fact he was working an off-duty job without permission. In 2008, he was disciplined for hitting a handcuffed suspect, and he got in trouble for disobeying a supervisor and taking a warrant on a woman who filed a complaint against him.